Welcome back to Ammosmith.com. Today, we're going to look at the L.E. Wilson large rifle trimming hand lathe. We got this for the 50, or I got this for the 50 BMG cartridge, and we got some accessories for it. I got the primer pocket reamer and the 50 caliber inside neck reamer. The neck reamer is really for cutting out donuts at the bottom of the neck near where the shoulder meets, and not so much for making the neck a consistent thickness. We'll go into that later though. It comes with some tools. We got 3 hex wrenches. The large one is for the coarse adjustment here. The small one is for setting our micrometer, our fine adjustment. And the medium-sized one is for mounting this to the mount itself. A couple other things you're going to want to have with you: a set of calipers. And I like to use a rubber mallet. You don't have to use a rubber mallet. You can use your bench, but I don't want to mar up my bench by tapping cases and necks on my bench. So let me change camera angles, and I'm going to show you how it works. When you get it out of the box, it'll come out with this together, the stand, and the cartridge case holder separately. But these parts here are already installed. You'll need to take these off in order to do a few things. But here is the cartridge case holder. It's one way. It's not a headspace gauge. It just holds a cartridge. And here we have a cartridge. It fits in. All you need to do is tap it in order to set it. Otherwise, it'll free spin. Here's how I do it. I put the cartridge case into the trimmer, and I turn the case holder such as this. And the reason why I do it this way instead of the other way is because of right here. It zeroes on this little stop here. And when we put it on this way, it'll shove everything in that direction. So there's no variation. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to take this all apart. I'm going to take the zero off of this. I'm going to show you how we do a rough and a fine adjustment on this. When you get it out of the box, it'll come out with this together, the stand, and the cartridge case holder separately. But these parts here are already installed. You'll need to take these off in order to do a few things. But here is the cartridge case holder. It's one way. It's not a headspace gauge. It just holds a cartridge. And here we have a cartridge. It fits in. All you need to do is tap it in order to set it. Otherwise, it'll free spin. Here's how I do it. I put the cartridge case into the trimmer, and I turn the case holder such as this. And the reason why I do it this way instead of the other way is because of right here. It zeroes on this little stop here. And when we put it on this way, it'll shove everything in that direction. So there's no variation. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to take this all apart. I'm going to take the zero off of this. I'm going to show you how we do a rough and a fine adjustment on this. Okay, so we're going to make a slight adjustment here. The case holder, I'm going to let free spin on here. The reason is I don't want to put too much tension on the threads. So I only need to go about 1, thousandths right there. Put this back on here and cut. We should be pretty much done. Let's see. Okay, so I made my adjustment here. I'm going to tighten this down just to keep it secure. Almost. Well, I would say we're there. Okay, so now all we have to do is tighten this down. I'm just going to do it by hand. There's no reason to get carried away. You don't want to deform your threads. I know I keep harping on that, but it's true. I'm going to take the tension off my fine adjustment. And I'm going to move it down until it stops. Then I'm going to gently tighten down the set screw. Now I'm done. Now I should cut every case the same. Okay, let's cut another case. See how much we're going to be trimming off of it. This one's like right on. Try another one. Yeah, there we go. Take it, pop it into this. Hold it, give it a little tension in there, and then we will start cutting. This is so much better than a trim die. At least with this, you have the ability to make adjustments. Look how nice and clean that is. All right. Right on. Look at that. This makes trimming the 50 caliber so much easier and much more precise. So much better than using a file in a trim die. Okay, so let's look at the primer pocket reamer. Okay, here is the cutter that trims the cartridge cases. Little box. Here is the primer pocket reamer. All we do is replace it in here, and we're going to take, I don't know if you can see this, this particular one is made by FN in 1979, and it has a pretty generous crimp on there. So let's see how it does. I'm going to keep my setting the same. It's just easier that way. And I'm going to start cutting. And it's done, just like that. And this one should be ready for a brand new primer. Let's do the other cartridge we trimmed. This one's marked LC91. Now you're going to run into two basically different types of crimps. You're going to run into a regular circular crimp, and then you're going to run into what they call a stab crimp. It can either have 3-prong marks or 4. Those are a little more difficult to trim, but this will cut it. This will cut it very well. All right. Now we can see right here. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the angle on this, and I'm going to zoom in. So I want you to see how this stops and then it cuts. Okay, here's the cutter. There's just, you can see where it just dead stops against the crimp. You don't want to like force this thing in here and cut it because it'll start spinning the case, but watch this. There, it wants to spin the case a little bit. Not a big deal. There it goes. And as it cuts, it goes in nice and evenly, and with a little bit of pressure, it puts a slight bevel on the end of the primer pocket right there. Let's take a look. All right, there's the primer pocket. You can see on the inside where it was cut. And if we look at here, we can see it was slightly beveled on the outside. The bottom of the pocket still needs to be cleaned. I just use a flat tip screwdriver for that. But this cartridge is pretty much trimmed and ready to go.